You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. And now your footwear insiders, Matt Priest and Andy Polk.
Well, our intro music says we covered the ins and outs of all things footwear, so we better do it.
Yeah, let's do it, man. I'm in. Count me in, Andy.
All right.
Sign me up.
I'm writing you down right now.
Write
Jasmine,
my name
are
down.
you in?
Yep, me too.
Jasmine,
I'm writing
you're
your
in?
name down.
Yes.
But it's not on the good list, it's on the bad list.
No, it's the good list.
Come on.
Please include me on the good list.
You gotta get your hype up. Get your energy levels up. Use some vitamin D. Get you peppy.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I think I have the perfect person, Jasmine, to get you all psyched up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, he definitely got me hyped up for our event. For
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
We're all talking about the world famous Drew Greer, who is on the Shoe In Show and spoke at our African American Footwear Forum and blew the doors off. And as I've gotten to know Drew in the short amount of time, Drew, that we've been connected, your energy level is off the charts, your passion is off the charts, your knowledge is off the charts. And so I demanded, I begged for you to come into the show. And here you are. Thanks, man. I'm so glad that you're here, man. I'm so glad.
Cut it out.
Nah, I'm not going to cut it out. You deserve it. You deserve it. So
I'm world famous now. I'm blushing.
No. So walk us through. I know you are the co-founder of the brand for Brand I Am Global, but man, you got so much behind that I know our listeners want to get familiar with. So walk us through what's your shoe story, Drew? Kind of walk us through each step of the way.
As it relates to me entering the industry.
Yeah, man.
So it started through the lens of football. Started off as a mascot. I'm going somewhere with this, but eventually ended up landing a Division I scholarship at Ohio University. So it inspired me to become the first male in my family to graduate from college. All through this sports sort of lens that sort of served as an early shaper for me. I ended up working actually as a health inspector, health educator for like first 18, 24 months after graduating undergraduate degree in environmental health. Realized it wasn't for me, went back to grad school, got a master's in sports administration, again from Ohio U. Interned at Georgia Tech in their college athletic department, and then just realized it wasn't for me. So went back to the undergraduate degree, worked as a health inspector in Atlanta for a little bit, but actually had some friends working for Nike and realized, you could work for, a sports brand. So being a former athlete, masters, it sort of made sense, and, started off as a tech rep, but have worked both on the product and brand marketing side. Really, sort of the original or triple OG or the real Uncle Drew as it relates to Nike sportswear. It's about a $30 million business when you couldn't say the F word or fashion, sort of from a Nike standpoint. But I took it to $500 million, and a lot of the core strategies and foundation of that program were sort of pioneered in sort of my early days of my team. Then actually went to the storytelling side and worked regionally in LA on team sports from a brand marketing sort of perspective. So, went from product to now storytelling. And so Nike Sportswear as well as team sports, including football, from a Southern California sort of perspective, sort of telling those brand stories. Look internationally, also headed basketball from a U.S. standpoint, sort of being back in Portland after the Amsterdam sort of stint, just being caught up in sort of the hairball of the corporate play, separated, and that was like 2018. But most of my foundations and learnings and impact have been from a product standpoint in Nike Sportswear and building that, doing the first sneaker collaborations outside of Run DMC, sort of introducing sort of the music collaborations with the Wu-Tang Duck and the Rockefeller Air Force One. Alphanumeric, Dunk. So these are sort of early strategies that are driving brands today. I've worked at Super as a marketing director on the skate side. Worked Ralph Lauren as a senior brand director for footwear, global brand, product director on the footwear side. And most recently, VP at Under Armour, VP of merchandising for basketball, as well as team sports.
Yeah.
So I come with sort of this balanced experience, global, the U.S., as well as from a regional sort of standpoint, having worked abroad as well as sort of within the States, product, performance, as well as on the sportswear side. I sort of have this balanced perspective, and then you couple in, former Division I athlete and even further, a junior college athlete. I come with an interesting sort of perspective as it relates to the industry, both inside and out.
Man, you're like the total package. So now you're at Brand I Am Global. You've got all this experience. You've played for the big boys in Nike and Ralph Lauren. You were part of the up-and-coming side of Under Armour as we've seen them kind of figure out how to make their way through the footwear world in particular, which has been tough around some parts of it. Now you're your own boss. Tell us what Brand I Am Global is and kind of what are you advising? What are like 3 things you're advising your clients to do in today's era if they want to be connecting with consumers in particular?
So Brand I Am is a storytelling agency. We're looking to work with athletes in educating college as well as high school athletes on how to set up their brand and, posting with purpose, particularly from a social media standpoint, making themselves a public figure so they can get to analytics, but really starting early. And you're seeing a lot of student athletes sort of get themselves in trouble for early postings and those sort of deals, as well as to start to build their narrative sort of early on. I mean, as soon as they become starters on their high school teams, their brand. It may not be setting them up to become professional athletes, but something as simple as leveraging the alumni from their college or their prospective high schools, while they're hot, so to speak, are some of the things that we're looking to do, but also working with brands. Our team has over 60 years of experience, sales, brand marketing, as well as product sort of development. So there's 2 sides. There's the student-athlete point of educating high school and college, and then actually managing the brand from a professional standpoint, sitting on the other side of the table with the athlete when they're talking to brands and developing more partnerships versus it being sort of dictated to or just a money play. Mm-hmm. And then on the brand side, using our internal, big brand sort of experience, but understanding and having built a lot of small businesses, particularly, what now is sportswear, the $30 million sort of proposition, and now it's a multi-billion dollars. We know how to build things through the basic matrix and understand the marketing as a whole. So that will help up-and-coming brands as well as athletes in particular that are looking to manage their brand and seizing opportunities.
It seems to me, Drew, that we are in an era where agility is so important, the ability to pivot really quickly, and the barriers of entry are much lower, meaning you can connect with consumers through social media. You don't have to make big TV buys in major markets. Are the barriers low enough to really be an open opportunity for emerging brands that are tiny but more agile? Yeah.
It's good and bad in that it's open market, but there's a lot of it needs to be curated because there's so much. You're overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. So it's a low barrier of entry, but also challenging getting through the static. So yes, it is a good time, and the creative wins. And coming up with continuing to build and being a level of authenticity and continue to build your story and doing it consistently. The internet allows you to do that and get after it. And, that's why storytelling is such a vital, important part of the day from a branding standpoint, because there needs to be a level of consistency. Your brand is open 24/7. You know what I mean? They're not coming to the front door and you can control the narrative. They may be coming in at 5 o'clock in the morning and just online messing around, and, they're able to double check when you're not looking. So having that narrative and having a different sort of perspective on that narrative, depending on the platform, becomes vital versus everything being cookie cutter, and you come off very generic when they sort of invade your different touch points.
Who do you think is doing really well in that space then when you talk about storytelling and branding? Who are Like who are the? I mean, obviously we talk about like Nike and Adidas because they're just behemoths and they can.
Yeah,
throw,
but I mean, I
you
think
know.
I think Chick-fil-A does a good job. You know,
Yep.
they're about good chicken, closed on Sundays, but they're the third earliest fast food out of any and being closed on a vital day like Sunday, as well as they make per more location per restaurant than any of the others. You know, it's an important balance because they're consistent to who they are, staying consistent on the products they're about. We'll take Kentucky Fried Chicken. They're selling chicken-flavored logs, smelling scented logs. I mean, how far away can you be from chicken? And if you don't believe me, Google it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, just concentrate on frying chicken, not a fireplace chicken. Is a perfect example of just comparing within sort of the same space, and you know, it plays all the way around. You know, where they're you know, they become a value menu versus that good old Kentucky special recipe that you know was finger licking.
That's why I love Drew. That's why I love you, man. You bring it, man. You take examples outside the industry. So we often kind of get in these cocoons where we are only industry focused, and so we're just judging success by what we see within the footwear industry. And there's a lot to be gained by looking outside the four walls of our industry, if you will.
Yeah, Sean Combs said it best. Like, you know, you got to check out the genres. Like, he goes to country music events because there's learnings that you can learn there that you can, you know, you can apply within your space. Also in explaining things, sometimes analogies and, you know, parallel to other things in life make it so it's more digestible to the simpler, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, for sure. Let's pivot to the events we had here in Washington, the African American Footwear Forum, because this episode will be a part of kind of our African American Footwear Forum series. And we want to just get your thoughts on the vibe in the room, the takeaways, what you thought, how you thought we were successful as an industry group getting together, and where we dropped the ball, and where do we go from here?
I think it was an excellent event. I think, and I made this point in my presentation, just the flexibility and nimbleness that you guys and gals displayed as it relates to us dealing with the weather is quite similar to being in the footwear industry. And although there are a lot of perks and, you know, you feel like you're part of a sports organization, it's not your typical sort of 9 to 5. Seniority play as it relates to how you escalate within the industry, and you got to have that sort of flexibility. I think accomplishing the first one on the upside, you know, is incredible. I think one time a year may be not enough. I think the extension events and energy that could wrap around this could be part of sort of helping pressure and taken away from the industry, as well as also serving as a carrot to something to look forward to of those in color on an annual or semi-annual sort of basis. I think more breakouts and that sort of deal, but I mean, I'm not judging based on this. This is the first year just to get it started. Mm-hmm. I would keep it in D.C. From a standpoint of Georgetown having such a rich history and being a part of how this industry started and became a cultural industry. And then Howard being such one of the more progressive African-American colleges or Afro colleges, black colleges here in the U.S., mm-hmm. and them gaining access, working with their business school to, you know, parallel some things. Like I was talking to one of the MBA students. I was saying every MBA student should be aligned with an athlete, and they should manage their brand for them, and it's a learning process all the way around. Just simple things like that. To sort of help their program as well and just concentrate what we're doing versus moving to different locations. But that's just personal. Am I not going to attend if you take it to Miami? No. Maybe not do it Black History. Maybe not do it Black History Month, just based on weather. But then again, don't do it in the heart of traveling season where, you know, the rooms and everything go up, so to speak, because of the tourist sort of perspective. So you just got to be smart as related to it. And then pulling in more of the colleges, mm-hmm. tapping in, mm-hmm. for more of the audience, and blending sort of the old bull, new bull. It should be sort of the heart of what this is. It's celebrating those, within the industry, producing content around that.
Yeah.
Sort of long term, the future or foundation. I think it's awesome, even developing a mentorship. But I think it's much needed, and I just think the opportunities and the impact that this could make with organization and, on a semi-annual sort of basis, can help promote a lot of the change that a lot of us sort of suggested is needed.
Yeah. Yeah. And you think that if we keep the drumbeat up, if you will, that'll help push more of the structural changes that people are looking to create. I mean, it's one thing to continue to talk about the event, host the event, but as far as like actual actionable takeaways that we can do as an industry association to better serve the African Americans within our industry, what are some of those things? How can we really change the game beyond getting together and networking and doing these breakouts?
I just think there just needs to be actionable steps that are coming out of each of these actual events with accountability, and, volunteer team is needed to put pressure on the brand. The challenge is just a lot of the employees scared to speak up because of the potential repercussions. So that to me is going to be the bigger challenge. How do you get the insights, but you can still make impact without them putting their job on the line or feeling the pressure of attending this event? That they're going to have to, take that sort of upfront sort of approach. And sort of some stuff I talked about. I think the networking across brands, across pollination is important. The accountability of folks really getting after it will be important as well as after getting after it. And then, reaching back. If you've been there 2 days and somebody's there a day, you're the vet. And really building that, because that's the problem now. There's just no communication, and I think this is the communication or organization. I think this is the start of it, but the challenge is going to be people don't want to come off as troublemakers or them over here, and that kind of dilutes, the effort and what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, no, I hear you. That makes sense. I mean, if you think about your career up to date, give us like one scenario where you felt like, I was slighted because of the color of my skin or because I wasn't given a shot. What's that one moment you had where you really look back?
I lasted in Under Armour for 6 months, but if you say you're trying to address diversity, inclusion, empowerment, I don't think 6 months, unless, excuse me, but unless somebody has done something outrageously, I don't think that's really putting a community effort, and it's more talk than it is really substance. Is one example. I mean, I've heard the N-word used in an office in one of the brands that I started from a sort of tenured sort of standpoint, or even one of the where I spent one of my most promising part of my career at Big Boy. I built Nike Sportswear, hated Oregon, even though I picked up snowboarding, dealt with depression, wanted to work in the field, feeding in insights, and, it wasn't afforded to me. I ended up going to the brand side and learning the storytelling, but then you hire, somebody from London that worked retail that's older than me to do what I wanted to do after I built a business. You know what I mean? And this individual happened to be an older white male. I have to learn that the president of the company had a better bond with him based on that connection than the person that really built the business.
Right.
You know what I mean? That did all these foundation things and showed the upside. Why would you award him that opportunity versus bringing somebody from the outside?
Yeah.
They try to make us possession receivers, including living in Oregon, where we're deep guys. And, even look at the Brooklyn Farm. How do you build that in Brooklyn, getting after basketball? And there's no people of color part of that leadership team. This was a special coveted product. And you have no one from Brooklyn of color from basketball that's part of that leadership team.
Right.
I start to scratch my head. You know, if you look at any of these boards of any of these brands, nobody from hip-hop culture or former athletes or people that are accountable to make sure that they're holding up their bargain, people of color, versus those that may be of color but are taking a check and taking a merchandise budget, and, you know, the brands are able to hide behind them, hey, we have some color on this brand, versus them really holding the brand accountable. For two different things. You know what I mean? Diversity are numbers.
Yeah.
That's a numbers game. So it's a start, but it's just a numbers game. It's just getting invited to the party. Inclusion, as I talk about in my, you know, the sneaker industry must die, DIE, being diversity, I being inclusion, that's getting asked to dance. And that's more. You know, you're getting closer to it. You're in the heart of things. You're feeling it. But you truly want the E, which is the empowerment. You want to be the party planner.
Right.
From the taste
I
to
love that
the
analogy.
smell to the sound, you want to be, and you want to make impact in being able to bring other party planners like yourself, or other dancers, or others that represent that number beyond retail. You don't hide behind the retail numbers.
Right.
You know, it's kind of funny even about, you know, situations to me to them jumping over the black male who's made the biggest influence in this industry, but isn't represented on the board in these leadership positions. You know, I'm not downplaying that women have made their impact and need stronger representation, but how are you going to jump over the black male who's being blackmailed because of his passion and other things in the industry versus a cash register? They're loving that passion from a consumer standpoint.
Yeah, I know. Well, you mean, I love, you know, what you just said really rings true to me because, you know, one of the things Dwayne Edwards talks about is how diversity brings innovation, right? If you have a room full of the same looking type of people from the same economic backgrounds, your product's going to suck. I mean, right? And if you're trying to serve a multinational, multi-ethnic, multi-generational consumer base, then you better get your act together and bring all these people into every aspect of the business, or you're not going to meet the consumer's need.
Yeah, I've written an article on it. Just you have diversity, just like on sports teams, has you prepared for all situations.
Right.
It also leads you down the right road when you get in a crisis situation as it relates to something you've done that's out of line culturally. You have that internal piece that maybe would have anticipated and not push you in that place, or help you self-correct in a healthy way that aligns with the brand.
Right.
And with this over-indexing and over-shifting standpoint, just imagine how much the industry could get better if there was more diversity and power making. You wouldn't get in these Gucci situations or Adidas situations with the white Air Force, because you have that balance. But I don't think it needs to overshift, but it should be, a stronger shift. I struggle. A perfect example to me, and I hope it doesn't put you guys in a comfortable situation. A perfect example of it is Matt Powell.
Right.
You're telling me that's our sneakerologist, our analytic for the industry. Don't you think there's a little cultural context to that that's missing, that maybe Matt isn't getting, that needs to be a part of the equation? I mean, because data without context is rhetoric.
Right. Yeah.
And mixing Matt with maybe a younger spirit.
We like Chris Burns. Chris Burns has been on our show and brings a lot of awesome knowledge.
But he has been. I'll even be transparent. I love Chris, love him to death. But he could help if it was him and a Matt,
right?
Because he sits more on the reseller side, so Matt sits on the other side.
Right.
So you're capturing everything. But Matt's talking about Yeezys, and he's a raw dude with sandals and socks on that, bears coverage from the sun.
Yeah. No, broadening your voices, man, is absolutely something that you bring up a great point. Ensuring that you surround yourselves with a lot of different viewpoints, particularly ones that are true to different consumer bases. I totally get that. Absolutely.
I'm saying that you need both, and to just not address that or have someone positioning themselves as a sneakerologist of the industry is nauseating.
Right.
And very snarky in his responses to people that challenge him and the rest of it, instead of looking at it like, maybe there's something here and maybe I need to address it. You do it in a very way, like I'm not going anywhere. Like, that's the arrogance of the industry. And, like, in a lot of ways, it's a race. We've been bullied in this industry.
Right.
If you really look at it. I mean, we've been bullied in this country, but we're not going to leave that. This industry is probably the most concentrated and most powerful business that people of color have an influence on, and you can't debate it.
Right.
That same foundation of what makes it up culturally from a business standpoint there isn't the correct parity on any level.
Yeah. Man, Drew, you do not disappoint, my friend. You bring it, and that's why we love you, because you just, you tell it how it is, and that's what we want on Shoe In. We don't want the PR statements. We don't want the shiny new object or the awesome new YouTube video that's been dropped by a brand. We want folks to come on and help us really understand your perspective, which is the voice of, I know, many within the industry. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I think we got to have you on another time, because this episode is not long enough for us to kind of capture everything that's on your mind. But with that,
whatever you need, I have a point of view. I'll come with that.
Yeah, I dig it, man.
I say ask others, but I'll come with mine. But go ahead.
Before you go, we have this segment called "What You Got, What You Getting," and Jasmine's going to come in and explain it to you. And I love to hear your answer. So, Jasmine, welcome back.
Yes.
Lay it on us. What you got, what you getting?
Okay, so what you got, what you're getting is a segment that we do when we talk about what shoes we currently have on our feet and what we're planning on getting. So I have on, again, a pair of over-the-knee boots from Public Desire. But I also was just browsing around in the shoe store, and I seen that Nike has a new, woman's only shoe called Nike Dia, I think is how you pronounce it, DIA. And they're are super cute sneakers, something that I can wear with a dress. And I always look for shoes that I can wear not just with my jeans, but with my Nike dress or Adidas dress. So I think those are next on my list. What about you, Matt?
So right now I've got Cole Haan, the Zero Grand OS, which are a knit upper, white outsole, kind of sneaker, kind of dress shoe, very comfortable. I love those. And then at our African American History event, I was talking to a guy who had the Fear of God collaboration with Nike, and I don't have those. I love
really
that shoe, and I fear God, so I want to combine my love for passion for my love of the good Lord above, and wear an awesome sneaker.
Well, I'll
and that's
send a
what I
prayer
want
for
next.
because you'll need it.
I'll need the funds, right?
Well, not even the funds, just searching for them.
Yeah. So, what about you, Drew?
What's that?
What about you?
So the sneaker choice of what I'm rocking right now is a sort of a European basic, but it's my favorite sneaker in the industry, which is the Adidas LA Trainer from the '84 Olympics. Has some adjustable pegs, sort of the latest technology at the time. What I have on the way, and I'm on an Adidas kick right now. I'm sample sized, by the way. Are 3 pair of top 10s, which is, being a Nike guy and some of the other brands I work with, haven't really been able to dig into some of my Adidas love. So,
right.
Anticipating that box coming, my 3 pair of top 10s. And recently I've gotten a box from Nike, and I get excited about beat stuff. Like I got a pair of running shoes, Tailwind. You know what I mean? No crazy technology, pretty basic.
Yeah.
I like to keep it regular. Where everybody else is zigging and trying to be super exclusive, I like finding beauty on the inline wall and people thinking of something of special nature. I've had the limited, and it's a different day right now. I don't want to be the old guy in the lines.
I don't want to be the young girl in the line. So
I don't like lines.
Yeah.
No lines.
It's kind of like being the old guy in the club. You know what I mean? Kind of the same
That's
formula.
not where you want to be.
within the sneaker industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of in the stock, as well as some of the product I have that I've worked on or have history behind.
Yeah.
But that's my deal. Right now is my LA trainers, which typically is very European, so I like that. And then my Adidas Top 10, which is a retro basketball shoe that I desired back in the day and never received, and then worked for Nike, so obviously didn't
Couldn't
have
pick
the
'em up.
opportunity to. Yes.
Awesome.
Yep. Andy, what about you? Let's close it out.
I got my Adidas all black boosts. So black from top to bottom. Unlike the all white Adidas that was launched during this Black History Month. I did it right. What I'm going to get is probably a bill for my wife's shoes that she's buying
There
for
you go.
preparing for summer.
That's right.
So,
You better pay that promptly.
yes, exactly right. I don't like paying the juice.
Yeah,
So
I hear you.
that's what I'm getting is a bill.
You got it. Yeah.
Somebody's winning.
Yeah.
My pocketbook is not.
Hey, man, happy wife, happy life. Am I
That is
right?
true.
Yep.
That is true. That's wisdom right there.
It is wisdom. Well, Drew, man, thank you so much for taking the time. We really appreciate it. It was a pleasure to hang out with you recently and to conversate with you today. And God bless you. Good luck, and let's stay connected. We got a lot of work to do together, and really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. As you can see, I don't mind talking a little bit.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, anytime you guys need it, and keep doing what you're doing. And I'm looking forward to the AAFF next year, 2020, which should be rather special. And thanks again.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Folks,
All right.
this has
Have a
been
good one.
you too. This has been Shoe and Show, and we are so glad that you joined us for this special conversation. And this whole month long, we were focused on Black History Month issues, and I think this is something we'll do every year. So look forward in 2020. You can reach us on shoeandshow.com. You can listen to us wherever podcasts are streamed. You can like us or rank us or rate us on Apple Podcasts and others. Please do. And then join us next week for the next edition of Shoe and Show. For my great hosts, Andy and Jasmine, Shoe and Show is out.
Shoe-In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.